Society has rules. And the first rule is, you go to college. You want to have a happy and successful life? You go to college. If you want to be somebody, you go to college. If you want to fit in, you go to college.
Well, that's what we all used to think. But now our elite universities are sabotaging themselves. They align themselves with so-called social justice activists and race hustlers over maintaining standards of excellence. You know, what they used to be known for. Earlier today, Harvard's governing board announced that Claudine, depends on the context, Gay, would indeed remain as president, and that she's the right leader to address these serious societal issues. But the left just doesn't understand the game that's being played here. They're playing to maintain control of Harvard. The right knows it can never control Harvard, so it's playing for control of the United States. And from the right's perspective, the most important thing is simply discrediting Harvard. And the longer President Gay remains in place, the more Harvard and the other Ivies are going to be discredited. So the right would have won if she left, but the right will win more now that she's actually staying. The people who are the most concerned with trying to replace President Gay are establishment types who actually want to preserve Harvard's credibility. Harvard should listen to those people. By not listening to them, Harvard is giving a weapon to Trump and the populace that's going to last, I think, for a long time. Now, many times in the future, the establishment is going to want Americans to listen to a professor from Harvard. Every time, the decision to keep President Gay will make it easier for the populace to discredit that Harvard professor. But again, just like we talked about in the Angle, this is the world the left has chosen. They would rather maintain an iron grip on institutions like Harvard, even if doing so destroys their credibility. But the real question is, how much longer will the left's allies in the establishment tolerate this type of thinking? The business community, having shoveled really billions to Harvard over the years, has a big, big decision to make. Joining me now is Rob Montz, an independent documentary filmmaker who's been covering far-left activism at American universities. Now, Rob, I watched one of your documentaries over the weekend, and I was riveted by it. You know, nice job on that. But it was about Professor Roland Fryer at Harvard. And in your research, you came to one conclusion, that Claudine Gay embodies everything wrong with higher ed. Explain that.
Roland Fryer's life, you wouldn't believe it because it sounds like a movie script, right? He's this guy who's born into poverty in a poor section of Florida. He's instantly abandoned by his mother. His dad goes to jail for a series of crimes when Roland's in high school. And somehow, Roland Fryer is able to pull himself from there to become the youngest professor to ever secure tenure at Harvard University. Okay, he's in the economics department, and he uses his considerable genius-level IQ and millions of dollars of money that he's able to raise to basically investigate the most hot-button topics of race in America. He does not have a particular political agenda, all right? There's no partisan agenda. He's not for any particular political team. But his research kept blowing up some of the core tenets of wokeness that happened to saturate a place like Harvard University. And his career a couple years ago was suddenly cut short by a very opaque sexual harassment case that Harvard and its enablers at the New York Times assured us was completely justified because Roland was a sexual predator on some of his staff. And we put out a documentary that people can see at harvardcanceledroland.com, which demonstrates that that was a cynical cover story. And in fact, Roland got punished because he refused to toe the line that you're expected to toe if you're, if you're a part of the black establishment at Harvard University. And one of the two people that we specifically identify as one of the alpha architects of Roland's downfall is Claudine Gay.
And why was she threatened by him particularly? I've watched videos, his comments about public schools and how we have to stop treating kids as victims and raise the bar, not lower it. I mean, it was just beautiful stuff. He seemed incredibly smart from an economic perspective and an educational perspective. Why was that a threat to her?
Yeah, what you're talking about is his groundbreaking research into the Harlem Children's Zone, right? What Roland is trying to find is he's trying to find the vaccine for education. He's like, Harlem Children's Zone is somehow able to take poor black kids from far-flung parts of New York City and get them to not only catch up to, but exceed their white counterparts. And he takes about a year or two and investigates what are the essential elements of the Harlem Children's Zone, and he finds at least 5 core things. Now, notice that's in direct contrast to what is fashionable in terms of education reform, which is if black students aren't meeting the standards must necessarily be racist or oppressive, and they need to be shelved. Someone like Claudine Gay, almost all of her moral authority is based upon the problems of a black community never being solved, right? And
so
she's
for her,
also a bit of an intellectual mediocrity.
Intellectual mediocrity, of which he did not have. She does have, she possesses. So he was really an existential threat, to use an overused phrase, to the entire social justice narrative of Harvard. Rob, your documentary was terrific. I know there are others. I'm going to link it up on my Instagram page. Thank you for sharing your insights about this. We're not letting this go.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.